Back in the very early 80s, I was sent here to Dallas by my father's ministry to open an office, establish a beachhead, if you will, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, because we were moving my father's ministry and my mother's ministry from California to Texas. And we figured we could save about 28% on our overhead costs by doing so. And it would also cut down on the number of hours spent traveling and getting to and from the airport. It was just a God thing. And so when we got here to Dallas, I was living on my own and I was staying with some friends. And I realized that, my workload was only going to be about 18 to 20 hours a week. And I really could go to college. I could do something. And I decided that I wanted to go to Bible college because there was a teacher at the specific Bible college that I wanted to go to that I highly respected. His name was John Garlock. And John Garlock was a true Renaissance man. I mean, he was born the son of missionaries. He was born in Africa. He rode his motorcycle all throughout Africa, was an adventurer, was a true man of God. But he also had varied interests. He was a man's man, and a phenomenal communicator. And so I admired him so much, and he taught a missions class at this college, and so I wanted to go there. And I realized very quickly at the college that it didn't matter when you were going through the options as to which classes you were going to take.
Larry Kroger, all in favor?
Yeah. We need the dues.
Good. Larry Kroger is now pledged to Delta Tau Chi. Next slide, please, D-Day.
Besides the ones that were required, it didn't matter what the subject matter was. That if I would find the teachers that were great teachers.
Well, I didn't know you wanted to get involved with the discussion, Mr. Helper.
Oh, God damn it! Why? Say it! Say it!
A good teacher. He really seems to care.
I would take their class no matter what. Didn't matter what the subject matter was, I didn't care. I was looking for the quality of the teacher. And I looked at that as if I was experiencing great teaching, the ability to really communicate well, the ability to think well, the ability to express a point well, and to lead a group of students on a journey, if you will, that I would get something out of the class that was valuable, no matter what the topic was. And so sure enough, I had a far better experience than many of my compatriots at the school because of the way I selected my classes. And I want to challenge you with the fact that taking lessons in something, being mentored by somebody, makes the process so much easier. I remember learning how to snow ski.
Good evening. You all know the rules of King of the Mountain.
And when I learned how to snow ski, I got to do it the old-fashioned way. A buddy take you up skiing, and his name was Jody, and Dr. Jody, hi. And he, you took me up skiing, and you took me to the beginner hill, and you gave me a few lessons, and you said, go for it. I'm going to go skiing on the other hills, and I'll be back to check on you. It was actually fine. I was happy to go. I was happy for the experience. I felt like I did well, and I kept skiing. It was the beginning of my skiing career, and actually turned out to be a pretty good skier. I could ski consistently on black diamonds, and I was happy with that. But I wound up learning to take lessons from professional instructors. And I learned that lesson from a friend of mine, and his parents would go skiing all the time, and they wanted me to go with them to Aspen and stuff.
A place where the beer flows like wine, where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I'm talking about a little place called Aspen.
And they took lessons every day. They had a half-day lesson, and then they skied on their own in the afternoon. And these people were really good skiers. But they took a lesson every day. And so I picked up why, because you make a much greater leaps in your progress in doing something when you have somebody who knows how to instructing you.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
And so when my brother wanted to learn how to snow ski, I could have dragged him up the hill and did the same thing with him that Jody did with me. And again, Jody, I'm thankful. I appreciate the opportunity. But instead of doing that, I gave him dry ramp lessons. There was a dry ski hill in California that was made out of AstroTurf, and they would teach you how to beginning skiing in an enclosed environment, nice and warm, and you didn't have to worry about anything. You didn't have to worry about getting on the lift chair. When I took him to actually ski after he finished his dry ramp lessons, he went from skiing beginning to intermediate in the very same day. And I thought, why didn't I get to do that?
Why? Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
You know, what an awesome thing to go up and on snow for the very first time, go straight through the bunny situation, the beginner hill, straight to the intermediate, he had a wonderful day skiing his very first time. And he had confidence getting on and off the lift. Nothing was a brand new experience for him. And it was awesome to just see the difference that some professional instruction made for him. It reminds me of when I taught my children how to ride a bike. Now, this is very common these days, but nobody did it this way back when my kids were learning to ride a bike, or when I learned to ride a bike. You know, the process when I learned to ride a bike and how I taught my first 3 kids, very frustrating. Mom and dad run behind the bike, holding the handlebar and the seat, and then they let go of the handlebar and they're still running, and they're holding Junior, and they release him, and he goes about 6 feet and plops over and has skin knees and is crying, and it's like, oh my gosh, big boys don't cry, get back up on that bike, let's go again. And so mom and dad or dad are doing it all over again, and finally Junior gets the idea how to ride a bike. Well, I'm sitting in my car here in Dallas, and I just happened to tune into a radio, and there was a guy on the radio program talking about how to teach kids how to ride a bike. And he said, go get you an old bike, pull the pedals off, pull the chain off, and let the kid push himself around on it for about a month before you actually get him a bike. And well, Christmas is coming up, and I was going to buy Bailey a bike anyhow. And so I thought, this is a wonderful opportunity to give this thing a try. And so I bought him this old clunker of a bike and took the pedals off and got him on it. And he was going around town doing both of his legs, and he looked so stupid. I mean, it was hilarious. This kid looked, here he was, and nobody had ever seen a kid run around with a bike with no pedals on it. Training wheels, yes, but no pedals. And so, but he thought it was fine, and I thought it was fine, and I just hoped it would work. And so Christmas Day came, and it was one of those balmy 80-degree Christmases that we have here in Texas sometimes. And so he got the bike, and we went out in the front yard of my parents' house and down the cul-de-sac road, right down the center of the road. I got him on the bike. I held it just for a moment. He got on that bike and he took off. Like he'd been riding a bike for years. Never fell, just kept riding around. He was wobbly at first a little bit, but in just a few moments, he had it down and he was riding that bike. And so a lot of times in life, it's finding a key. Some of you are frustrated with your Christianity, and part of it is the glasses you wear to view your Christianity. See, I view my Christianity through 2 very specific lenses. The lens of the book of Galatians and the lens of the perfect Father. They make up my glasses to view my Christianity. Now, I feel like most Christians need glasses to see their Christianity. They don't have that at all. And so they go down the road, and you know how I know their Christianity isn't working? It's because they keep hitting their face on a wall. They keep experiencing hurt and confusion. And so then you put the glasses on, you can see clearly. You're not bumping your nose on a wall. So if you've got a lot of confusion in your life, you've got a lot of confusion in just life in general, you may need to change your glasses. Another experience I had with an instructor was, you know, the first time, I'm ADD and I'm dyslexic and I'm rather athletic. But it means I learn differently. My balance is not as easy to initiate. I don't know why, but I learn differently. And so water skiing was a big deal in our church. We had probably 68 boat owners in our church in California, and many times they'd all go skiing together. In fact, they'd all go skiing for a week together during the summer, and it emptied out the church so bad that my dad started sending a pastor with them, and he would have a Sunday morning service and take up tithes and offerings and everything. The pastor loved it because him and his family got a week of water skiing out of the deal and got to hang out with these 68 families. My dad liked it because the tithe came in, and he knew that the church was meeting in 2 locations on that Sunday. So I learned to ski fairly early on. I think I was about 13, 14 years of age. And it took me about 10 or 12 tries to get up on 2 skis. Now, most of my friends, they did it in 2 or 3 tries. And here I was, you know, I just couldn't get the hang of it. And then I turned out later on in life to be a better skier than any of my friends. And so as I progressed in my water skiing abilities, we were given a home up in Wisconsin, Eagle River, Wisconsin, the home of the snowmobile, where it was invented, and they had the World Championship snowmobile races. It was built by Al Capone's bookkeeper. It was on a peninsula, water surrounding 3 sides of it, and Al Capone's bookkeeper's wife was very religious, and so when he designed the boathouse, she had him design a 100-seat chapel to go on top of it, and they would bring their own Catholic priests there during the summers. Now, to give you an idea, Al Capone's bookkeeper's house was right next door to Mayor Kelly's summer house, the Mayor of Chicago. So the Mayor of Chicago and the biggest mafia guy in history had homes right next to each other that they would vacation at, because Al Capone loved to go to this house. And it was an exciting place, and I taught missionaries how to water ski at that time. I'll tell you more about it when we get back.
But when what is perfect comes, the partial will be set aside. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. But when I became an adult, I set aside childish ways. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then we will see face to face. Now I know in part, but then I will know fully, just as I have been fully known. And now these 3 remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love.